Hi there, my name is Zach and this is Edgar and we're with Skyline Cabinetry. Today we want to just do a quick assembly video on our 2430 European frameless line. There's going to be a couple things that we're going to need in order to complete this video. One's going to be our rubber mallet, second's going to be our screw gun, and then our screwdriver. Note right quick, we do not want to be using our drill a whole lot on the cam locks because we don't want to strip out anything during this assembly. Just want to touch on it real quick, guys. We want to remember to always be safe while assembling everything. You may not necessarily need it for this particular cabinet, but for on several of the other cabinets you'll be doing, you will need your safety glasses. So we do have everything already unwrapped, so we will start the assembly process here in just a second. All right, so one of the first things we're going to touch on is getting the hinges connected to the frame of the cabinet. We do want to let you know there are two portions of the hinge. We want to make sure to not tighten them all the way down because later on at the end of the video we want to be able to adjust the door before we tighten that screw all the way down. All right, now that we have the hinges connected to the side panels of the cabinet, we will start with the cam lock screws. So the cam lock screws are going to go into the holes where the plastic is at, and then the dowel rods will end up going where there is no plastic at all. We just want to make sure we don't get it confused with there are holes right down the middle of both sides because that is where your shelf pins will end up going. We do want to make sure we're using glue where the dowel rods go because that is going to make sure that the cabinet stays square and does not move back and forth and eventually causes anything to come loose. So the glue is a very important factor in this cabinet, so please do not skip this step. All right, now that all the dowel rods are in and the cam lock screws are on, we want to go ahead and set the top and the bottom portions of the cabinet. So it's important that we make sure that the cam locks are lined up straight so that when you are set it on top, you are able to then to just grab the screwdriver and then twist it and lock it down. After we get that first side on, we're going to jump over to the next side and do the exact same thing, grab our locks and get everything connected to our cam lock screws. Before we move on and put the other side onto the cabinet, we're going to go ahead and make sure we put in the skin. Before we put the top on, we want to make sure that we go ahead and add the glue like we were talking about so that everything does stay square and comes together nice and neat. Now we just want to make sure we line up our cam lock holes and our dowel holes. And then before we do too much, we will go ahead and grab the rubber mallet and make sure that everything goes on nice and neat. One thing to be aware of, sometimes the skin will move around and it'll keep you from being able to go flush. So if you do find something where you can't go all the way down, we want to go ahead and just check that skin first because that'll be the inside of your cabinet and you do not want to mess that piece up. All right, so that actually concludes the assembly of the frameless cabinet. Now we're going to move on to the doors. So we're now installing the hinges on these doors. We want to make sure to use the tapered edge screw so that that screw does not stick out past that hinge and or scrape or ruin the side of the frameless cabinet. And just before we start hanging these doors, Edgar is going to be putting these bumpers on real quick so that everything shuts nice and soft. And I just want to remind you guys that remember at the beginning of this video we did tell you to make the hinges loose so that whenever you do attach these doors everything can be leveled and put on nice and straight from there. So at this point we'll go ahead and tighten up these hinges so that we know that everything's sitting exactly where we want it to sit. Same is going to go for the opposite side. We're going to connect it first and then after connecting it we will then tighten up the screws to make sure that, again, it all shuts nice and straight the way we need it to shut. Just a friendly reminder that there are screws on the inside of the cabinets that will allow us to adjust the doors. So if they do not shut, it's okay. Just go ahead and open it and adjust those screws. Those screws will allow you to go in and out, up and down. All right, one last thing we want to touch on before we finish this video is our end panels that are used for a decoration piece for when you are not wall to wall and your cabinet is exposed, so which then will slide back and then go flush with the door of your wall cabinet. So we just want to thank you so much for joining us on this video. Hopefully we were able to help you with a little bit of how to assemble the 2430 European style frameless line that we have here at Skyline Cabinetry. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.